Our story was my family had been going to the Lutheran church. They went to whatever closest church there was. And when I was first born in Kenwood, it was a Lutheran church. We moved up to the top of 9th Avenue East when I was about 2 or 3 years old, and it was Trinity. Well, one day after this church was built, and not too long after, my brother was talking about a friend he made at school whose dad was the minister at this church, and he wanted to go to church. And my parents thought if our son, who might have been in middle school at the time, wanted to go to church, we'll go check it out. So they came, they heard Don Schmidt, they fell in love. They were both raised in Methodist churches in Iowa and Minnesota, and they just loved him, and they loved the people here, and so they became members of Peace Church.
Where do I start it? I had several contacts, though I didn't know it at the time, with Greg Flint, who was the minister when I started coming here. And part of it goes back to my ex-life, my previous marriage. My wife had an aunt who was a member of this church, and when she died, I ended up coming to the funeral. Now, my experience with funerals has been that you never knew the people who had died, because it was either right out of the book or they were talking about them in terms that you just wouldn't recognize them. They weren't the person you knew. But Greg, now this woman was kind of a character, and Greg actually had a funeral that I recognized the person that he was talking about as being maybe not the easiest to get along with, and sort of spoke about all her philosophical warts or whatever you want to call them. And that was my introduction to Greg. Now, sometime later, after a divorce, I was living down the hill, and I just decided to come to church because it was I grew up in a UCC church, and it just happened to be the minister that I was familiar with, and met some people that I knew, and felt very comfortable here almost immediately. So I guess that's part of the story, but we can let it go there.
Sure. What has it meant to be a part of Peace?
Well, our lives have been here. I mean, was confirmed here, married here, with children born and baptized and confirmed here. So for me, it's been a lifelong journey, spiritual journey with Peace, and a big part of my life. And I'll let John explain. I mean, how we came about with children. But one of the interesting is when we bought our first house. Then the Flints were like 2 doors over from us, which was kind of funny because when he finally, proposed, I had to wait. Couldn't tell anybody until I asked Greg. Told Greg. And I always would be looking out my window to see, are they home yet? Are they home yet? So for me, it's been a lifelong. And also my family, my parents were such a big part of it. My mother held the children's choir, and my dad was a big, they were involved in things. I went away and checked other churches, came back and settled here. So yeah.
How about you, John?
Well, I guess I wanted to kind of fit in. So the call went out for volunteers to help paint the choir room, which was, right down the hall here. And I showed up. Turns out I was the only male in the room.
And a few single females around.
And yeah, there were quite a number of single females there. And quite frankly, I really didn't sing. I just showed up because there was a need for some work. So I thought I'd give it a try. Well, single females and a divorced male, I guess it was an opportunity. So what else?
I was the last one.
The story is that I kind of went through the whole group, and I guess I'd have to say I ended up with the best.
That's nice.
Yes, put that on. Yeah.
And choir has been an important part of both of your lives.
Yeah. Well, I started singing with in the church choir. Pat Miller was the director then, and she encouraged me and worked with me some. And after that, I started branching out a little bit. and because I'd never done it even in high school. So I guess that's a fair amount of the story.
Cathy, you've done solos. You're an accomplished singer.
Let's say when my mother had the children's choir when I was a kid, Saturday, I really didn't want to have to come down to church to practice Saturday morning, but I had to come down to practice on Saturday. I've always enjoyed singing, and so choir was just a natural lead into it.
How would you say it's been important to others in your life?
Well, for our children, certainly it gave them a foundation, a good spiritual foundation. They went through confirmation. They were in Sunday school. They went through everything and met a lot of good folks in life. I know our son keeps in contact with some, which is really, really fun. And soon, now they're adults, and one is married and going to have a child of his own soon. So, it's kind of that laying that foundation, what they decide in their life to do. I know they always have that basis to live by and what they need to be part of this world.
We could talk about how we ended up with a family, I suppose.
Yeah. I'll just say it was when we were married. One issue was I remember when we did with Greg. We did you do a survey, and we did the counseling, the pre-marriage counseling. One was finance, which we worked out fine. The other was children, and so I thought, well, I love children. If it doesn't happen, I would leave it to him. So John was part of the men's breakfast group, which is still going on. So he brought it up for discussion. So I will let him go from there about being a
Well,
father.
actually, I was kind of blindsided. I was riding with our neighbor, Greg, because it was down at the Medical Arts Building. I happened to comment to him that we had sort of opened up the discussion a bit. So I figured, well, this is going to be sort of client-pastor privilege here, but as it turned out, he opened it up to the group down there. And I got a lot of encouragement from the members of the men's breakfast group. It was quite a bit larger then than it is now. I was reassured that all would be well with children. And so the comment was made that our daughter was conceived by committee. So
that's a great story. Is there anything else you want to add? And then we have one last question.
Peace is our home, and we recently moved down from the hill. I've always lived within a close radius of the church. Now we live down on London Road, and I feel like I've been yanked from the neighborhood. Now we were always probably late getting here, just a few blocks away, and now we're even later when we have to get here.
What one word would you use to describe peace?
I would say heart. It's just a part. It's just your heart, your soul, your spiritual being. You can all good things.
I've had a little trouble reducing everything to a single word, and so I might just bypass that one. I know that's not part of the rules, but it's become kind of a home.